Comedy is subjective, is what most people would say when they don't find something funny. Depending on the person watching it, a joke could be absolutely hilarious that you can hardly breathe, or it could make you question whether you're at that age where you've lost all sense of humor. However, it's actually pretty rare for me to find a comedy show that makes me audibly laugh out loud nowadays, probably because the internet has rotted my mind so much that for some reason is the only reason I laugh now. The quality of a comedy show highly depends on the punchline or gag the show runs with. If the gag hits, it hits hard, creating some of the most hilarious scenes in anime that I could watch over and over. Most of the times, however, the joke gets older faster than a gacha player taking out their credit cards for some PNGs, and it makes the show extremely mind-numbing to watch. So when you're scrolling through Netflix or Crunchyroll trying to find an anime that does both comedy and romance, it's really hard to find one that will nail down both completely, with most just relying on the romance aspect of the story to carry it. So I heard that Kaguya had ended recently, and I wanted to start watching it, and honestly,
That's pretty good.
okay, so Miyuki Shirogane is in love with Kaguya Shinomiya, and as most romance plots go, they both try to confess to each other. But unfortunately, they both lack the balls to actually go through with the confession, so do they seek help from that one friend in every rom-com anime to build up that courage? No. They're gonna make the other person confess first and then graciously accept, and thus winning the love war. You see what I did there? Kaguya loves war. No. Alright, I'll go now.
Love is no game, it's war!
And in this 5-head chess game, there comes all the side characters that do some weird stuff and make interesting plot lines on the side. And now, this show might seem super generic, like an average McDonald's burger. It was as if the author was like, instead of having one of them be tsunderes, we can just make them both be tsunderes. How about that? But the show was surprisingly really funny and genuinely interesting to watch. And now I know I'm late to reviewing it, sue me. At least I kept up on One Piece. That shit took a year out of my life.
The One Piece! The One Piece is real!
This show doesn't write hilarious jokes or gags. It writes good characters that play off each other. Chika might act like your typical anime waifu in front of Kaguya, but she becomes a fucking devil in front of Ishigami and Shirogane. And these differences in the characters' relationships changes how they would interact with a specific character in a joke or even just a conversation. And we get to see them in different lights, allowing you to understand more and more of each of the cast members' core personalities as time goes on. It's like sometimes when you're watching a trash TV show and the asshole does something good for once. It makes the show much more fun to watch because it makes the characters in the show have a more interesting personality instead of something bland and boring. I've always wondered why I loved sitcoms and slice of life stories so much. The plot is nowhere to be found and most of the jokes don't really make me laugh that hard, but there's something about watching a couple of people live their lives to the fullest that really speaks to me. The more and more I watched Kaguya, the more I felt connected and part of the group in the show. I'd laugh at the stupid things they get up to and root for them when they get depressed. The more you watch it, the more you treasure every moment with the cast members. The connection the show creates with its viewers is what I think allowed it to shine so well in the wide sea of stories. There will always be another rom-com show, another slice of life, but we won't ever get the exact same familiar feeling Kaguya-sama gave us. There might be copies of these characters, but they won't be exactly the same. It's the same why some tropey characters are better than others, the way the characters are built up, introduced to the story, and how they would interact with the rest of the cast members can give a show a unique and heartwarming feeling, depending on how well it's executed. And Kaguya really knows how to make this its core strength. Every chapter, every episode, every gag is meant to remind you or show you a different side to a character. It might just be haha pee pee poo poo funny in one episode, but then it might turn into a very serious drama involving around corruption, business rivalry, and how hard it is to be judged unfairly by society. These moments, from major changes to a character's life to just a conversation about some culture, all define each character, shaping them from an average anime trope to something much more personal, which is what I find most anime struggle with, since most of the characters in those animes can be defined with one sentence, or even just a word. You know, in every romance anime, there's always that one incel main character. that guy you would love to beat the shit out of, because clearly the dude does not know how to converse like a normal human being. And for some reason, he's just surrounded by girls. Man's stuck in his room all day playing League of Legends and Genshin Impact, with the only source of vitamin D is this dude's fucking computer screen. So, compared to that, Miyuki Shirogane isn't that bad of a protagonist. He actually works hard to be a good student and friend, which makes the romance somewhat more believable than having a guy in high school randomly getting all the girls through some higher being. Kaguya was someone I fell more and more in love with as time went on. She started as your typical tsundere with some slight issues, but she grew into a really respectable person who was trying her best to win over the love of a boy. I really like these simple romance stories. There's no harems, little fan service, and no physical assault where the main character is absolutely fine after getting smashed into a literal wall. When I first started watching this, I honestly thought this anime would just be your average rom-com gag anime, where two people would try to confess each other in an elaborate way. But now that I've actually been given some time to watch it, I think I can honestly say that this is one of the best, if not the best, romance anime to have come out. But if you haven't been convinced to watch this show, you can look forward to the one universal joy in life. JoJo references.
将来的に結婚したいとか思うのか